welcome back to Naturally Aggressive, episode number 36. We're not live from Florida, but Dylan is flying out this weekend.
Tomorrow. On a rare occasion, the Syracuse airport has a direct flight to Tampa, which never happens. So I'm gonna be able to get over there fast and go see all my little buddies. There's a lot of
Glad
a
I'm
lot of
not
people
there.
a lot of people go. Yeah, it's a lot of people going.
Yeah.
And I initially I thought it was a 3-day thing. 3 days is a lot. The difference between 2 and 3 days is insane when it comes to an event. So like for my shelter workshop, when they said it was going to be 3 days, I didn't really take that seriously until I was there, and I was like, dude, we got to go.
Exhausted.
That's a long time, and also filling the time and all that. So it's only 2 days, which is less social anxiety inducing for me. So it's like, okay, go down, have a good time, get what I need out of it, and then come home and not see anybody for another like 8 months.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm not in the Airbnb. I'm home. I'm safe. Had quite a this is kind of like an Odyssey style trip, like just like a mythological trip. And I've posted a couple little. I won't post anything else. That's all anyone's gonna get. But I've posted a couple little things, kind of hinting at what's been going on. Kimberli knows everything.
Yep.
Kim knows.
It's also funny watching you neither confirm nor deny.
So fun, isn't that? Can you tell that I'm being a little?
confused.
Can you tell I'm being a little fucker about that?
Yeah, having so much fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being, because I'm trying. It's kind of a dual purpose
the poor
thing.
audience.
I'm trying to torture the audience, right? Which is always what we're trying to do. Try to torment the audience, but I want the suspects to be looking on, wondering, is it me? Because like who's in the crosshairs, and it's multiple people, so it's like, that there's a bunch of people being like, oh no, they're like searching. Yeah, gonna be interesting. I will just say that everything with that is going extremely well, and I've just last night started putting things together for public viewing. It's probably just going to be a while. I will say that if anything, the timetable is going to move up though, so it may not be like a 3-month thing. It may not be a 2-month thing. It might be in like a month. I'm able to show everything. We will see. Very funny. Very cool. It's gonna be a lot. This is definitely the biggest thing that I've ever done, ever, like in any aspect of my life. It's insane. Oh, I guess having children's a big deal too, but yeah.
I thought we were just
cool.
relegating to the dog training sphere, but
I was thinking like in my life. No, I'm not trying to be a what do you call it? But in terms of the sheer impact, because the dog training world is very easy to impact because it's so small and retarded. And this is potentially like a barrel of explosives. Like, it's insane. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. Anyways, I did.
We can jump. Yeah, go ahead.
You had a really good one that I feel like we can rip on, and I feel like that could take a long time depending on which ways we go with it. And it's an audience submission. We love an audience submission. I also did just briefly, you can see my screen name. I did briefly want to talk about e-collars very fast. I don't know, maybe you'll go off and we'll stick on it for a little while, which is cool. But yesterday I started this pit bull on the e-collar. And while we were training, I was like, man, isn't it kind of insane that you just don't hear about e-collar conditioning anymore? Am I crazy, or is that kind of just like, is it fading?
Yeah, I don't know. I think my initial reaction is, I think you've put yourself in a bit of an echo chamber, which like isn't a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But I think like you just don't have people push back on you as much because you
no,
which is fine.
But my posts are totally,
yeah.
My posts are public, and they get shared to huge groups where people like legitimately are hostile to me. I used to get comments like routinely that were like, dude, you didn't even like let the dog wear it for a week.
I think people have just like, you've just punished that behavior enough that even if people still have that thought, they're not going to comment. That's what I mean. But like, yeah,
I mean, that's a
like,
good,
I get that
point.
people still could, but
They just realize they're not going to stop me, so they're just like, why do it anymore?
Yep.
Like the
Yeah.
motivation has been
Punishment and
stopped.
extinction.
Yeah. Yeah, and like
But I do think there is a little bit of shift away from it. And again, I don't know if I believe my own experience because I am also in that echo chamber a little bit. But
yeah, but the thing is
it
though,
is
we
interesting.
see threads, like we see threads that we're not involved in, and like that TWC is not involved in. We kind of have a general sense, I feel like, of what's going on. And man, it used to be everything. There were a couple of years there where e-collar conditioning was like the major moral like thing. That
It
was the
definitely
focus.
used to be the topic of posts a lot more, where
Yes.
like people would actually be like, here's how you like it almost was a topic of posts in the same way that like now a little bit emotions have become the topic of a lot of posts as
Yeah.
like the new
Right.
buzzword, or at least for
Right.
sure in sport training, and in pet training as well, which like again I don't think is a bad thing, but
Right.
yeah, I definitely think the e-collar conditioning has been relegated to more like something that happens in the comments or a discussion, and not like the main entree anymore,
Dude, I don't know.
which is for sure interesting.
I remember having like being at the sway of these like public conversations. It's one of the reasons why we take this stuff so seriously, is because it does influence people, especially newer trainers. I remember having the e-collar remote and I was looking at it like, man, and say I had I don't know, a tiny little weak dog. I would be holding the remote going like, dude, I gotta be so careful right
Is that a
now.
loaf of bread that you were just
Yeah.
holding up?
Yeah. I was looking for an object. So I have to be
Okay,
I
just
have to be
double checking. I
so,
was like, interesting,
but you know what I
interesting.
mean?
The e-collar remote.
I'm like,
Yes, absolutely.
yo, I have to
Yes,
be so,
very very
I have to go
scared.
so slow, and I have to make sure I've got
Yep.
the color set down to the one integer, right? Like it's got to be anything over or under. Or if I don't teach the language of the e-collar, whatever that means, the dog's gonna break. And it was really an annoying kind of grueling emotion, right? And now, but the reason why I thought about this was because yesterday with the pit bull, it's like, yo, we slap that shit on and we just start tapping. It's just we go start training. We just train the dog. You know what I mean? And I guess my own personal feelings were interesting, but then I started going through the list in my head of all of the backtracking and the backing off that the conditioning people have had to do over the years. And this is sort of what I mean. You don't see the same arguments anymore, because the way that
That's very
it
true.
was,
That's
the way
very
that it
true.
was put forward. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear
Yeah, no,
the
you're right. And
language
I
of the
think that actually
e-collar.
started with Ivan dropping the hammer on that a little
Oh,
bit. And
yeah,
then,
the podcast.
yeah, it
Yeah.
has been, it has been further. The blood supply has been cut
I've
off
had so many people tell me
more and more.
that was an influential, like that was a keynote
Yeah, there's
moment
a
for them.
moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but you don't hear language of the e-collar.
No, you're right.
You
You're
don't
right. Yep.
you don't hear. I had someone for the first time in so long say to me, it was when I had Aries. They said something I was doing would only work with a male. And I was like, dude, you can't say that to me. But I don't even think that was e-collar related. But people used to say that about the e-collar.
Yeah.
They would
Yep.
say, oh, like Ivan and Natalia are male people, so they can get away with skipping the step. But
Yep.
if you with your
Hey
pet
guys,
dog,
Malinois are actually not that bad.
and they're dogs, dude. They're dogs. They're dogs.
Yes.
I hate to hurt people here, pet trainers. You know, this is my thing. I love it too. Our dogs are not fucking special. There's nothing particular about them that makes them more challenging or whatever. Dogs are different, but they're all dogs. Okay, so when it comes down to just like learning
It's just
and
so funny
conditioning, it's
that
the
like
same.
people think these working and this is like a kind of a tangent to the working dog community, but like there will be people in the working dog world that are like, oh, my dog's just too strong for a correction. And it's like, no,
Yeah,
motherfucker, you're just a horrible
you're
dog
just bad.
trainer.
Yeah, you're
Like,
just bad.
what do
We've
you mean
talked
you
about
have a
that.
dog
Yeah.
who's literally specifically purpose bred to do what you want it to do, and you can't even get it to do what you want it to do? Like,
Well, I told you
yeah,
the
I've
sort
gone on
of
this
like
rant before.
the
It's fine.
first musket shot that led to the Syracuse dog girly community like legitimately want me to die was I had this like degenerate freak single mom pit bull girly who was trying to convince me that she has the one pit bull on the entire planet that can't be punished. The one dog. Like, no, you just try that with my dog and you see, it's like, I would, and it would work because it's a fucking dog. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even mean about it. I think I just made a joke. I think I said something like I would hit him with like the swanton bomb from the top rope or like the tombstone or something like that. And then I see she's DMing people, this guy beats dogs. And I'm like, okay. But that, again, it's an excuse. You think that you have this mystical, mythological dog, when in actuality, if your dog couldn't be punished, it would mean he's retarded, right? It mean he was brain
Yeah.
damaged. He can't learn. Um, so
Correct.
that with the e-collar, um, it's just insane. I guess now at this point that I've had like Pongo and Mongoon, who
Mhm.
Mongoon was visiting today, by the way, is doing very well. The owner got him to swim, which means I'm 2 for 2 on recent rescue dogs, Remy and Mongoon, that they lived on a lake with me, would never swim, and now they're both water monsters. It has to be something I'm doing wrong. I'm not
Interesting.
even joking. I'm not kidding. It's something I'm doing wrong. Because it can't
Interesting.
be a coincidence.
Yeah.
But I like I've had those dogs, right? So you just kind of can't say that to me. Just doesn't make any
Right.
sense. Um, and then there was the whole it's kind of just devolved down to everyone has their way of doing things, which is not a good way to defend your methods.
Yeah. Yeah.
you should
That's
you
definitely
should
the
be able to
last,
say, right,
the final
just
dying breath.
oh, I don't know, no, I don't know. And that it's kind of the track that I went on to, where it's like, oh, the conditioning phase has to be a week long, and then it's like, oh well, now I just do it like a few times, and then it was like we just get a few reps, and I'm just like looking at my hands, going, why the fuck am I doing this? I cannot answer any of these questions. Um, so, and then also too the confusion where people don't they kind of either try to split hairs or genuinely just don't know what e-collar conditioning traditionally is known as.
I think that's a big confusion too, is what, like, now it used to be that everyone knew what you meant when you talked about e-collar
Right.
conditioning, and now people just look at it as like, oh, you might just be using the e-collar as negative reinforcement, but it doesn't necessarily refer to the same thing. Like,
Yeah,
it's
well,
taken on two definitions.
I'll have people say to me, "There's nothing wrong with using the e-collar as negative reinforcement, like you just said." Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
That's
yeah,
what I'm arguing for doing that. But maybe that's a testament to it falling out of style, is like people just not
correct.
knowing what the fuck
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, dude. Oh well, then how do you use it? I don't get people asking as much about that either. Um, but I do think you're right that maybe if I record the first e-collar, we should do this as an experiment, and you can help me make the caption to be perfect to harvest comments with Akita, with the Akita Paul Akita, where it's like the first e-collar session, and because that'll blow up and people will go crazy for no fucking reason, and we can kind of use that as a gauge for the dog world, like where are they at on the e-collar. Um, and of course, I'm just going to be doing normal things. If I can get an e-collar on this dog, which is going to be fun. I
Yeah.
should probably I
Very
should probably get a bungee collar. To be honest with you.
yeah. Yeah.
Maybe winged points. He's coming on the 10th, by the way. We have a date. He's coming on the 10th.
Nice. I think they're fun.
Coming on the 10th. So I think that was all I wanted to say on the e-collar conditioning stuff. It's ridiculous. So you had listener
Yes. Listener
submitted
question.
topic, and it was kind of sick. It's actually really good. Let it rip.
Yeah. Also very timely.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and just read it. This is very well articulated. Okay. Have you and Dylan ever thought of doing a show that discusses what certain types of training will do to the human? For instance, the level of control I used to implement turned me into a hypervigilant, antisocial control freak. I feel like I've been slowly detoxing from that state of mind, and it feels like freedom. Thought it might be an interesting perspective to share how different training methods also affect the trainer and owner.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Um,
Yep.
because dude, we're not, again, us and dogs, we're not
And
far off
sorry,
from each
just
other.
like tag on comment to that. Their approach is literally killing their own nervous system. Popular training methods are literally burning professionals. I'm so
Hmm.
relieved I got out when I did. Uh,
Oh yeah.
so yeah, I think that's like super relatable to a lot of people. Again, just like the wording of that is so spot. But
That
yeah,
last
anyway,
that
sorry, go
last
ahead.
part, that last part actually adds like three more dimensions onto it too. And I didn't
Yeah,
even know that when you
yeah.
read it first. Um, because then we can talk about like why trainers burn out and everything. Um, and why I typically appear to be extremely resilient to burnout. And I think on the average I'm extremely resilient to it, but I'm not immune by any means. I'm actually
Mhm.
this is the first time in like 6 months where I don't have a client dog in my custody, and it feels kind of weird.
Yep.
So we know what these like weirdo, unnatural training systems do to the dogs, right? And we don't think and feel that differently than dogs, right? So it would logically make sense that it does a similar thing to the people involved. And I can tell you that from all I can, dude, I can piece together what training the client has done by how they emotionally react and how they talk about dogs. And what their major concerns are and all of those types of things. I can tell what's been done. Usually done to them is how I think of it. But I mean, I talked briefly. I mean, no, I've talked about it a couple of times. Um, I just got a text that I missed. Was I talking to you on the phone when I missed the Easy Pass?
Yes.
Now the state's coming for me. Yeah.
Oh no.
The many such cases.
Dylan
The
will finally get locked up.
the dog Pongo and his owner. I talked about how their only dog training experience before me is an extremely bad, heavy-handed structure. You know, needs to feel my dominance aura, like cringiness. So it's not even like structured on well. And to this day, this lady, though we kind of we laugh and we debate back and forth on it because she disagrees with me. To this day, I have to get her to calm down and be nice. Like I have to remind her to be nice. Like her instant reaction to I need to tell the dog to do something is like she just cannot. You could be in the living room just like watching TV, drinking coffee, and she starts yelling and she doesn't even know she's doing it. And I know it was because of her really bad experiences with that previous trainer who early on when she was in a really vulnerable emotional state convinced her that you have to be this person or your dogs are going to destroy you. And that's years later, dude. After working with me and having been proven that none of that worked and that my shit works. It's crazy and it feels really bad. And yeah, who fucking wants to live with dogs like that? Um, and if you're a trainer, if you're training like that, why would you want to keep training dogs? That sucks. Not fun.
Yep. I also think so. Like, there's all of that aspect of just like the harsh emotionality and like the hypervigilance. I also think there's really it feeds into perfectionism and like perfectionistic tendencies that are just really not good in any aspect. And I think keeping somebody on to that high of a standard. I actually was talking about this kind of unrelated topic, but similar idea of like how fair it is to expect for clients to expect that they're going to maintain the level of training that you maintain as a professional, and that's just
Mm-hmm.
like not realistic.
Right.
And I was using the example of like my dogs when I'm peaking them for competition and we have a trial like a month away, they're
Uh-huh.
fucking dialed in.
Right.
But you cannot, probably should not maintain that for the entire year
Right.
because it's just an unrealistic standard to hold them to. And I think it's similar, or even like athletes, right? Like asking an athlete to be in peak condition 24/7, 365 is just not
Impossible. It's not sustainable.
sustainable. Yep,
Yeah.
like literally impossible. But that's kind of what the packaging of like your quote unquote traditional balanced training, and I mean force free as well, right? Like you have to catch everything every time, all the time. You
Yeah.
make one mistake and it's catastrophic, like all this stuff. And it keeps people stuck in that really if I don't do it perfectly, everything's gonna come crashing down. And that's like the all or nothing thinking that gets pointed out in like burnt out former gifted kids, right? It's like
Right.
very similar thought patterns.
Yeah, and on the other side too, it's actually interesting. I haven't the opposite experience with clients that have been burned out through force-free training. They have the opposite reaction where they're dying to be like, "Dude, I can tell them no," and they often end up being way better clients than the average. Not even joking, because they're just like, "Man, my natural instinct as a living thing has been suppressed and I've been told I'm wrong for feeling that way for so long. And now you're finally giving me permission to be like, yo, dude, come on, don't do that. Um, though there are obviously I'm sure you'll run into cases where people are horrified of using aversives and stuff, but it's usually not. Like, again, for me, the people that I see, the dog is either a complete hermit, medicated out of its mind, or on the verge of being killed. So having someone be confident and be like, everything that you've done is and been told to do is completely wrong. I need you to forget that it exists. They do it just like that, the drop of a hat. So if there's any emotional damage, it's more on the personal side of people having to live with out of control dogs that they have no recourse if the dog does something wrong. That just causes a lot. We've talked about it before, what it's like living with dogs that you just they can't, like, they're just terrible. And and I'm talking about unruly dogs that are eating napkins and barking nonstop and pissing everywhere. Now you add in maybe the dog's doing all that and he's also biting you. That will ruin someone's psychological state. But I will say that it doesn't
Like
necessarily
they are
mean
being exposed to non-contingent aversives from the
yes,
dog.
yes, yeah.
And they
They're,
can't do anything about it.
they're just
Completely out of
getting
control.
blasted and they don't know how to
Extremely
interact with it.
damaging.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
it's awful. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their outlook on training, once they're introduced to good training, that doesn't necessarily indicate how they're going to feel about it. But I will say, should those people not find good training, they will end up giving up, feeling like these methods, the force-free methods, are the only way. Therefore, why should I ever? It's like learned helplessness. It's like there's just nothing I can do. I've tried everything, and we're done trying. Right? Like I've tapped out. If this is what dog training is, then there's nowhere else to go. I've explored every option, and that's one of the more insidious things that the force-free ideology does. And it's demons. What they do is
And
they
now that you say like the
please
force free stuff, I actually just realized that the asker listener, I believe is former force free. I think that's what she was.
okay.
For some reason, I like had in my head that it was former like. I don't think that is. So like it's actually yeah, like the hypervigilance. I think what she's talking about is actually like you have to see a dog 100 feet in the distance to be able to beat your dog, like all that good stuff.
The antecedent arrangement,
Yes.
as they call,
Yes. Which again,
where
like can definitely happen with the whole like, oh, don't let him fixate kind of balance training. Like
yeah, but with
catch him if he
them,
even glances at a dog. But yeah.
they have the ability to slam the dog, which by the way is still bad, and I'm not condoning. I'm extremely outspoken against it. I want to say I've probably done more damage to the lock and load balance retards than anybody. I've
No,
devastated them by
honestly.
making
Yep.
them look really bad, and showing the good
Because you
work.
can't even like they were already, this is a little bit of a tangent, right? But like they already didn't have like force free can at least still appeal to this like moral, it's false obviously,
Yes.
right? But like the moral high ground, or shitty balance training has always had to hide behind, oh, but it's like, it's okay because like, but people have always been gut feeling uncomfortable with it.
Yes. Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like it's a little
Yes.
bit easier to squash that because they don't really have anywhere to run to ideologically. Like
Right.
it's like you shouldn't be, yeah, like kicking dogs while they're down. Like everybody kind of knows that. You know what I mean?
It just
Like you shouldn't be just
intuitively makes
smashing your dog
sense.
for no reason. Right, right, yeah.
It's
I think
like
the same can be said for like, hey, it's okay to tell your dog no from like the
right,
force free extreme side. But
but
I
I
think
think
like, yeah, just
optically,
emotionally it's an easier, yeah, exactly, exactly.
it's optically the force-free
It's easier to
side
just
is
squash.
selling this Candyland cotton candy ice cream, and then the extreme compulsion lock and load balance people are demonstrating live in front of the client. Actually, we're just going to like massacre these dogs for no
Yeah.
reason,
This is
and
this
and
is the
it's
haunted house portion of the garden.
and then they have to the only way they can maintain their business and their quote unquote reputation is by having a company van and owning a Malinois and doing bite work, but not even good bite work. Like they just go to a club and they take pictures, and that's how they maintain their aura, if you will. But then they're just taking out, little lady's golden retriever and just smashing him for wanting to chase leaves or something. It's like, dude, you could just whatever.
Yep.
So the force free side does an extremely good job, and this is very insidious. More to come on this soon, I promise. Of convincing people that they have the only answers.
Yep.
So to circle back to that, where the client feels like they've had their bank account drained, their psychological health drained, their dog is actively getting worse, or at minimum is like kind of floating around the same way, maybe like marginal increases in some ways, but they're not, it's not a livable dog. They just assume this is what dog training is, and we've reached the end of the road because I have been assured that anyone else would just be torturing the dog for fun and it wouldn't work. So that's a particularly insidious angle on it. But I will say that it is across the board just bad training. So okay, I'll just let's do
Mhm.
this. This was before my we need to cleanse the lands era. I had this little dog named Henry. He's a little like rat terrier mix. Um, I posted a shitload of his training,
Yeah, I remember Henry. Yes.
but his owners were at their wits end after I want to say a year, maybe 2 years, under the guidance of a Tom Davis trainer. So what was happening with this little dog is that if someone walked into the house, he would charge the door and bite people. And their only means of addressing this the entire time they had been working with these trainers was just like someone's at the door, turn the stem on and tell him to run to his bed. And they were just spamming this. And of course, like he's on the bed shaking, he would wait and
Mhm.
break, blow up, they'd stem him back. And they were just like, we're having people over to the house and we're having to just watch him out of the corner of our eye the entire time. And that type of living and that type of training makes it so that you can just never, it becomes a full-time job to have a friend over at the house.
Mhm.
Or
Yep.
even like, oh, dad's gonna stop by. It's like, well, I can't, I have to be watching the dog and I have to be tapping the dog and I have to be there. And that that is not good. Like by the time they come to me, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
They're just thinking, do you have an answer that is not this? Please. Um, but I think that they had only been dealing with, I mean, I say only been dealing with that for like a couple of years. There are people that live like that forever under the guidance of bad trainers. Um, so yeah, being able to address that and tell them like, yo, people can come in and you don't have to fucking do anything. Mind blowing to them. They didn't think it was possible. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I think like the other kind of big like epiphany moment for people, and I think this is again true of both extremes are ultimately the same. True of both sides, but the idea that you need to be so hyper vigilant because you need to prevent your dog from making choices. You know what I mean? Like you always need to be
Yeah.
in prevention mode. And that's just
Right.
a really unsustainable spot to be, right? So it's like the whole thing of like, okay, now we have to be on alert for when somebody is coming over and we have to have this huge routine about like, all right, text me when you get here, but then like don't actually knock
Mhm.
on the door, give
Yeah.
me the bat signal when we're ready to let you in, like all this stuff, right? And it's just it's a level of management around the dog's behavior that is just exhausting. Like I think it's just like that simple, is like the burnt out nervous system. Like that's exactly how it happens. And like going for a walk is like not actually thinking about enjoying the walk. You can't actually lose yourself in the present moment. You have to be so
Right.
future focused on like what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. And that's just a recipe for just like, yeah, bad mental health generally.
Yeah, and I keep bringing things back to the major problem, which is the force free ideology. Those people will often proclaim that they have the client's best interest in mind, and balanced trainers just don't care about the emotions of the client. It's like, well, okay, so you're really good at therapy speak. You're really calm and collected, and oh, you speak so softly and you're so nice. But then you are damning the client how many weeks, months, years, maybe indefinitely, to have to, when they go to take their dog out to walk around their neighborhood, they have to be constantly scanning and listening and flinching. And you're doing that to them.
Mhm.
Keep in
You're
mind,
putting
this is not,
every ounce of responsibility on their shoulders.
and it's not even productive responsibility.
No,
It's not even
nope.
like, yo, we're going to do this for a short time and then we can live. There's no light. Um, yeah, it's fucking sick. It's absolutely sick. Any of these redirection counter conditioning freaks, they hate their clients. whether they know it or not, their actions dictate that they hate their clients. I wouldn't do that to someone that I had respect for or that I care for.
Mhm.
I would do that to someone that I hated. Like, I'm going to
Yep.
make you, every time you walk your dog, you're going to feel like this and you're going to have to do this. And there's no
It's
end in
another
sight.
thing
There's no
too.
answers.
Yep. It's another thing too is one of the things that is often like if you look at like how you make it easier to form good habit. Like we've probably all heard the thing of like if you want to work out, like lay out your gym shoes and your clothes before bed the night before. It's reducing the barriers to activation and reducing the decision points in order to get moving. So like the more decisions, the more effort you put in front of something, the harder it is to do. So you hear a ton of people, again on both sides, but you hear a ton of people that complain about client compliance and blame the client for like, oh, you just didn't do this enough, right? Like especially contra conditioning protocols where it's like, oh well, like you just need to do this longer, do it more, whatever. And the expectation of having people gear up
Yeah.
and make all of these decisions, make so like having to go, all right, I need to get the treats. And even like you can go crazy in depth with this, right? Okay, my dog's a little bit overweight. Can I use his breakfast as the walk treats? But now I don't really have a ton of time, so I do need to feed him because he needs to eat this morning. But like, fuck, then I'm gonna make him fat, right? Like even that one little thing of like which treats you choose can
Mm-hmm.
enter a bunch of different decisions in the equation. It's like, okay, what time of day can I walk my dog? Because I need to make it the 4 a.m. walking club, right, is a joke for a reason because I need to make this as easy as possible for my dog because I need to avoid all these stress points, avoid all these choice points, avoid. And then you need to decide what route am I going, right? So now it's like I have to decide between, passing other dogs in the neighborhood that are going to cause certain explosions or passing squirrels and rabbits and deer that are going to cause a different
Mm-hmm.
reaction if I go to a more secluded route. And like all of these things just stack up and they're going to inevitably create dread in the client because it's fucking hard. Like you're putting such a massive cognitive load on that person before they even get to work. You know what I mean? And then they have to deal with kids. They have to deal with their day job. They have to deal with like all of the other responsibilities. And then trainers get surprised when the dog is like, or sorry, when the client is, quote unquote non-compliant. And it's like you're making again like the irony of trainers that are like, oh, I spend so much time, making sure that like the client is, or yeah, like the best interest of the client, like all those taglines. And it's like you have no sympathy and no understanding, no ability to perspective
Yeah.
take for your client. And you're making
Yeah.
this a second job for them, more than a second job, because you're also
Right.
shaming them when they don't do it. It's
Yeah.
like
And
instead of
by the
being
way,
like,
the
hey, dude,
client,
just do it better, it's like ask them why
right.
and actually explore that.
Right. Yeah, that's the guilt. It's like the dog blows up, and it's not just that our walk is ruined, but I feel bad because I feel like I'm not following orders properly.
Yep.
Again,
And now you have the
they're
guilt of
doing
like,
that.
oh no, I let my dog be stressed. I let them be like,
Uh-huh.
that's the biggest detox that people have to go through. Honestly, I think from my experience is like the indoctrination of overreacting to the dog's reactions, like thinking that
Oh
every
my God.
emotional spike is catastrophic. Letting your
I
dog
have
feel any
extreme.
excitement is bad and stressful.
Yeah, I have extreme uh examples of that I'll be able to talk about
Mhm.
at some point. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
um, where it's like people being taught that if the
The
dog
whale eye,
licks
the
a
lip
lip,
licking.
that
Yep.
something's about to happen. Like something, it's like, well, no, I mean, they're fucking
Yep.
animals, dude. Even if it
Sometimes
was a
dogs just
stress
yawn.
signal, and sometimes too, by the way, we as human beings, we will wince and we will
Like,
brace and we'll take a deep breath. And you know what we do? We carry on because that was
mhm.
us just regulating the emotion. And that was actually another
Yep.
thing that I almost made a post about it, but I felt like people wouldn't understand what I was talking about. And we don't need to, I want to get back to the major thing, but the one of the greatest evils of the threshold, I never have to see the problem to fix the problem thing, is that the dogs never learn how to recover. They
Yes.
never learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable
Yep.
and how to
That's
just
my current board and
say, hey,
trains right now. Yep.
It's, yo, like this can happen. You know what? It doesn't have to that does not have to define me. I can just shake it off and keep going. And if you, again, we can do that another time. But
I think like where this does relate is you plant the seed of idea in the client's mind of that your dog is this fragile thing
yeah,
that again like feeds into that perfectionism because it makes
mhm,
the stakes so fucking high for daily
right.
life, and it
For
puts a
dumb
level of
shit,
emergency.
stupid
Yes,
shit. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yep, and like that's
yeah.
extreme. Like
So
detox is exactly the right word, right? Like it's exactly the same as somebody who
yo, fuck the cortisol levels in the dogs. Honestly, let's do this. Let's
yeah,
measure client cortisol levels.
yep,
Go.
yep,
Any of you
for
out
real.
there? Any of my rogues gallery? You can pick the nicest fucking dogs with no behavioral issues, and you roam with that client. I will take the worst, most dangerous, explosive dogs. We do our training programs, and at the end, we do a fucking survey on whose clients feel better taking their dog out in public. And we will go again. Your nice little overweight lethargic labs and my explosive pit bulls and German shepherds, and we'll see which client feels better about taking their dog out. Because I guarantee it's going to be me. Because there's no obligation to fucking again. You said the whole prevention thing. I want to go off on that too. If everything that you do with the dog comes from a state of prevention, from like square zero, everything you do after that is going to have a tinge of adversarial energy, no matter what. If everything comes from I can't let him do that, I can't let him do this, you two are at ends. Period. And this is, I talked about this in my shelter workshop. It's definitely going to be a part of my next presentation about how, from the ground level, it is not about, again, barring safety concerns, which, again, by the way, people will try to throw that in my face. Look at the fucking dogs I'm dealing with, dude. I'm dealing with the most unsafe pet dogs that you can find. And I'm still setting up so that they feel like I can do things and he can do things. And if I do something that's off limits, he gets on me and I just don't do it anymore. Versus, look over here, look over there. No, get back here. Don't do that. Or rather, do this, not that. Right. Um, so that is not good to do to people where they feel like they are constantly just, oh my God, I can't let him bark. Oh my God, I can't let him look at this. Oh my God, I can't let him chase that. It's like, yo, let's put him on a retractable leash and let him chase the pine cone that's getting blown in the wind. I don't fucking care. Let's train him to go off leash so he can chase the squirrel. I don't fucking care. That's fine. And then if you call him and he doesn't come back, okay, you're in trouble. There's a penalty for that. And we just carry on with our lives. All of my clients are like that. All of your clients are like that. So they're not burned out on dog training. Dog training doesn't even feel like it's real. It's literally just living with the dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one 2 points I want to make, and then I want to come back to the adversarial relationship that's built up through like the prevention strategies. First one is you're taking so like you're stressing the client the fuck out. And then you're
Yeah.
taking away their natural coping mechanism. Or like people that have dogs are drawn to dogs for a reason, right? Like dogs are supposed to be a thing that helps them regulate. Like we've all heard the study of like, dogs can decrease blood pressure and whatever, like why therapy dogs are useful and valuable in hospital settings and stuff like that, or mental health setting. And it's like you're literally taking that away from the person. Like they can't
Right.
even, the thing that used to be their solace is now the thing that brings them an extreme amount of stress in their life.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I wanted to say is going back to the idea of force-free ideology, kind of pushing this idea of dogs have this extreme level of fragility. It's like my dogs are being stupid. I'm all roll under the treadmill. Anyway, but yeah, this idea of extreme fragility in the dog, I think that idea also permeates, and like this is potentially a little bit of an extrapolation, but I think it extrapolates to the rest of how you interact with the world. Like that becomes a worldview that you take on, is that things are fragile. And then you start treating
Yeah.
yourself that way. You start approaching other dogs, other people in that
Hmm.
way of like, conflict must be avoided at all costs. And that's not,
Right.
it's going to start affecting other areas of your life if you take on that worldview. Like it's a very damaging place to be in for any relationship, like not even just the dogs. And again, I think like this is getting a little bit to the point of I think this is a little bit more like pet theory thing, but if you look at the types of people that gravitate towards force free, they usually do have a hard time with building functional relationships that are
They're sick people.
that have to enter the territory
They're
of
fucking
conflict.
sick
Yep.
people. They
They
literally
live in
don't know how to
avoidance.
interact with human. Yeah, correct. They have no ability to cope with anything.
Yep. No resilience.
They've never been told no in their life. They've never been challenged on anything. And they're at a stage.
Or the sad side, if they have, it's been in a way that's non-contingent and abusive and all that.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, like that's not like good balanced training should not be that. Good parenting that's authoritative but not authoritarian should not be, not contingent versus constant.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, it pushes them to the opposite of extreme, which is also on.
Yeah, we're plenty coming up, guys. I'll tell you that much. A lot of this is extremely on topic for certain things.
Yep. And I want to just get back to the adversarial relationship that the prevention strategies build with the dog, because I think that's something that's very underappreciated. I think people know it, right? Like people on the balance side see it that you're obviously just accidentally doing bite work agitation with the dogs, right? A lot of times they're on a harness at the end of the leash freaking out and you're like trying your best to redirect them, but meanwhile they're building a ton of so this is a one-on-one lesson client that I recently had, and it was just like such an obvious display of how this, and like they had previously had some force free training, like took a reactive dog class and yada yada. I've been doing my best to detox. I spent like a long time with him the first lesson, and I'm going to see him again, but it's going to be a little bit delicate because they're quite convinced that positive reinforcement is the only way and anything else is bad and dangerous. Anyway.
What are they doing with you then? The fuck, what are they doing?
I don't think they know enough to know the difference between force free and balance. You know what I mean? Like they've just found the force free, very, very similar to Cooper's story in that way of like, they just didn't know any better.
So the thing is, okay, just extremely briefly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, and I want you to react to this, but I want to give a quick example. You can say, hey, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah.
So I did that recently with a client, and they said, okay, it was really bad. However, there was one good thing. The separation anxiety protocol was really good. And then I found out days later, it took them 2 years, hours a week, doing like setting up the camera. 2 years. That could literally be the dog growing out of it. And then when they realized that, they were like, oh shit, that didn't even work. It's like, no. Like, oh, what would you have done? I would have put you. They were like, okay, we would have just used the e-collar then. I was like, yeah. And it would have happened instantly. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah.
So what's
I do need to do a better job about like challenging assumptions that way. Yeah. A little too gentle about it.
Where did they get you? Why are you here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, extremely true. Yeah. Anyway, so I was like getting a feel for the dog, went for a walk, dog's on a front clip harness, and that's another dog, and he starts just like explosively reacting. And I was like, all right, let me play with him a little bit. Took the leash, and he was pulling hard. Like I do bite work with dogs where it's like you post up, you be a tree, and the dog is pulling with all its weight, 80-pound German Shepherd, whatever. And like, I was like, holy shit, this dog is hard to hold. He's having like the time of his life. And then I like pinched him a little bit on the side to see if I could get him to turn around. And he just like barks harder at the other dog. And I'm like, all right, like your dog is not scared. Your dog is not, he's having a great time. Like he just took pressure and was like, I want to do this more. Like that's how I I forgot what we were talking about why I brought that up.
Everything is anxiety. Everything is every motivation is from a place of weakness with the fourth type of interpretation. It's no way that a dog could either just like something or just not like something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what if he does?
No, I was talking about the adversarial relationship. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Where like the amount of frustration. And so like eventually you're able to redirect the dog. He like grabs a treat, goes back to it, grabs a treat, goes back. But it's like, it's not even like, it's just such a weird cocktail of them being so careful about the dog's emotions, but letting them just like stew in bullshit frustration. It's just like such a weird, like immediately I'm like, that energy just feels so gross to me.
Toxic.
But they
Poison.
can't, yeah, they just like can't feel it. And I'm like, how do you not feel
Right.
that? Like you're saying one thing and then acting completely different. And
Well,
again, like not shitting on these people in particular, but like the whole ideology of like trying to keep your dog calm, but you can't even do that effectively. And then it's just like, fine. Like, I don't know. It's just a very weird, like, let's just fight with the dog on a harness instead. Let's just do bite work. Like what?
Right. Supposedly it's the peak of ethics and humanity to have the dog, and again, you're instructing clients to do this who are not trainers, who are going to get destroyed, extremely dangerous. You put them at physical risk. To have the dog on a razor's edge of insanity, ready to boil over, even if like outwardly, like you're saying, how do you not see it? The dog doesn't need to be like frothing at the mouth. He can just be tense and knowing like, I'm about to go off. I'm about to go off. Okay, I don't go off. I'm about to go off. I'm about to go off. Okay, I'm not going to go off. Doing that how many times a walk? How is that a good way to live?
Yeah.
It's fucking brutal, dude. Why? And that is supposedly, look, we kept him under threshold. That's a super pleasant experience for the dog. I don't think that's true at all.
Yep. It's crazy. It's just like, yeah, I think I've now just like developed such a spidey sense for dog's energy. And it like, it's one of those things I have a really hard time conveying to clients sometimes, but I'm like, can't you feel how gross this is? Like, don't you want to help your dog? Like you're letting him sit in his own shit. And it's just like, it's so annoying to me. Yeah, it's the same as like, I think we've talked about it before with just like watching bad training gets harder and harder because you're like, how do you tolerate this? It's horrible.
Or it's how are you that bad? You know what I mean? How are you doing that? Yeah, and then on the other side, when it's not the explosive or potentially explosive, but more so the anxiety, like the dog has anxiety. Well, what if the dog just doesn't like it when you touch his tail? Does that have to be an anxiety disorder? Does that have to be some sort of trauma, or he just doesn't like it? And maybe we need to pull a barb out of it and he has to just deal with it. And then he knows it's going to be over and we carry on. Why does that need to be like a dissertation? And we need to come up with a training plan for that. And
yeah, it's a weird, this is a whole fucking tangent again, but like the idea of pathologizing everything, and it's seeped into human mental health really badly as well. I think like, the Western healthcare system is bad. They definitely perpetuate this, DSM diagnosis, all that good stuff, which are somewhat necessary, but get overused, over pathologized to the point where actually, this is kind of a funny study. This is like one of the very like keystone studies that like you'll learn about in your high school class. Dude walked into a mental health hospital, said he was like hearing voices, and like one other symptom that like pointed towards schizophrenia. And they like did a quick evaluation and checked him in and like put him on a regime of medication, like immediately treated him like he was schizophrenic for sure. And it's like, this guy was like completely healthy, mentally healthy, said one symptom, and nobody actually bothered to fully evaluate him. Parallels. Nobody bothered to actually fully evaluate him and figure out that like, hey, actually, this is, I mean, obviously this is a setup, right? But like, as an example, somebody can say, oh, I've been kind of sad for 2 weeks. And you go, oh, sweet, you have depression. I was like, well, like my dad just died. And it's like, okay, like maybe we shouldn't pathologize that. Maybe that's just like the natural cycle of grief. And that this just becomes such a habit. I mean, go on Reddit, right? And everybody's like, this person's a narcissist. And like, I'm guilty of it, like throwing out, these labels that are a little bit hyperbolic, but anyway, it's just we do that to the dogs too, right? Like the same trajectory has been followed in dog training as has been followed in broader society. And it's okay to label stuff, but then people get so attached to that label and it keeps them in such a box and it becomes extremely restrictive and
They don't need to know anything else.
yes.
I don't need to know anything else.
Yep.
That the dog is reduced to this just, I would say, made
And it's
up.
a terminal diagnosis. It's always a terminal
Right.
diagnosis.
Nothing you can
Again,
do.
even in
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
Like
You're a
depression is a
victim.
terminal
Oh,
diagnosis.
yeah, you're dead. It's immediate. Step one is accept you lose. And everything you do from there is you're just dealing with the loss instead of saying, yo, let's get active, let's get motivated to try turning dials and pushing on things. And then in the dog world, I think that in the human world, it's hard to be the guy that says, hey, drinking water, getting sunlight, and exercising is bad. Like nobody really does that. But in the dog world, it's actively, hey, using an electric collar to train that dog to go off leash is actually bad. That's actually bad. Hey, a dog that is so belligerently obsessed with attacking this person or whatever, punishing that so that the dog has to reevaluate how he interacts with that person. You cannot do that. The dog will never recover emotionally. So those are like the sunlight and the exercise. Like that's, so we're
even, I'll make it
with,
even simpler. Let's leave aversives out of it. Play tug with your dog. Let your dog play
Right.
tug. That's pathologized. You're creating an aggressive dog. You're creating a resource guard, or you're spiking them in arousal. That's super stressful. Don't do that. And let's do a snuffle mat instead. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Or and I actually, that was a topic I wanted to talk about too, that is going to be very relevant in the future, about how trainers, but specifically the force-free advocates, they just think of fulfillment as cardiovascular exercise, like mindless brain dead cardio exercise, or just like finding a Zook's training treat under a plastic cup in the kitchen. And they're like, oh, that's all a dog needs to live a normal life. And
Or
it's
the kid
just
an iPad. It's enough.
right. 100%. Yeah. It has nothing like the change. And to them, that's it. It's oh, the dog has a great life. That must mean that he's ill. Well, no, you haven't done anything remotely close to dog-like.
Let's put that
There's
kid in
no-
an extracurricular activity that has social interaction involved. See what happens.
Yeah. Work with a team, present his ideas, get critiqued, critique others, give him something that he can go home and
Sense of
practice on his
purpose.
own every day.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, we would rather just put you on the treadmill. And by the way, this is not a knock at people that condition their dogs like that. I'm not saying that.
But usually the people who are doing it really well, like for example, my dogs have a slap mill. They run on it a lot in the winter, but they are also playing tug, getting obedient, like getting all of the things. It's just a supplement for like, okay, I need them to be a little bit more conditioned in the off season. Like we
I'm
don't
telling
use it
you.
as a replacement.
I'm telling you that just one of the first lines of questioning with any case that I take on is, what is the dog's life like? And then when I let the owner respond, I say, okay, but does the dog have a reason to live? That's how I frame it. And it immediately sets a tone where the owner goes, wow, yeah, my dog is not living like a dog. And usually it's not at this point their fault because they can't safely interact.
Yes. Yep.
But that becomes a cornerstone concept immediately. Why should this dog live? Does he care? Does he look forward to things? Does he feel good about himself? Does he get to express parts of himself? That this is another element. Bad dog training generates a lot of shame and tension around natural instincts in dogs that become really dangerous and out of control in some scenarios. And like a dog should not feel bad for picking an object up in his mouth. And when you do that to a dog that has a particular attitude, we can cause some serious fucking problems. You know what I'm saying? Beyond just suppressing something, you can actually cause a dog that feels like he needs to fight for things. Yeah, you don't hear force-free advocates talking about letting dogs run off leash because they have to pretend it doesn't exist. You don't hear them talking about going new places and doing all. You just don't. And especially when it comes to also to dogs that they've had aggression issues or concerns about aggression, you never hear them talking about making new friends. Never hear them talking about that because they don't think they think it's wrong. They think it's either unnecessary or wrong. And these are actually, again, these are social animals. There's a level of fulfillment. So again, for a reformed social animal that is trying to begin to live a normal life, we're going to fulfill that element of let's go out on a pack walk and meet some people. And no, we're not going to be on the other side of the fence throwing food. We're going to fucking do some stuff together. That is fulfillment. The snuffle mat is not. You know, the puzzle is the little puzzle box with the treats in kibble is not. And cool. I mean, if you find a food puzzle that accomplishes all of these things, I'll buy it. Send me links. I'll start testing it with my dogs. I've always got interesting dogs coming up. You know what the uniting fucking characteristics? I mean, there's a lot between all of the case dogs I get. They play and they run around off leash and we go new places and we meet people and we meet other dogs and we live normal fucking lives. That's what fulfillment is. Not let's put them on the head halter, hook them up to the bicycle
like
and just
a fucking convict. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's not what it is. And you keep the dog terrible, which justifies you treating the dog like he's terrible. And suddenly you're the only trainer in the world that works with terrible dogs. And it's like, well, you put him on a retractable leash and a wide flat buckle collar, and you put chasing the leaves on a release command, I bet he would start changing in days. They don't want to know that. They don't want people, and I don't care if they don't want to know. It's they don't want the owners to know that, which is the scariest part. Yeah, so I think that question about the psychological effect of bad training, we could probably come up with more.
I think like the overarching sort of point for me or what's very interesting is I think teaching the clients and teaching the dogs go very hand in hand in terms of how you approach psychology. You know what I mean? And like, are you able to perspective take for the dog and for the person? And what are the base principles, right? So like over restrictive balance trainers that are wildly militant create that type of client and create the issues that come along with that in both the client and the dog. And overly, management oriented, permissive, whatever particular, force free type training, that's going to create a certain responsibility on the owner, create certain impacts on the dog and the owner. And both of those stem from a base misunderstanding of how psychology operates, right? And like a lack of understanding. I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Like I was actually talking with a newer dog trainer and like, what's the difference between a puzzle toy and playing fetch? And that like, I think that's a more difficult question to answer for people than it kind of like quote unquote should be. And I think until you get that, there's another quote I recently heard that's like really, really cool. And I think is very much pertinent to this point. There's certain things that you can't teach, but require understanding. And I think that's one of them is like, I can't tell you the difference between playing tug and a snuffle mat. You have to know that like in your bones, and like there's stuff we can say to help you to understand that, but ultimately you need to just interact with animals, with humans and dogs on a certain plane and figure it out.
It's just buzzwords. It's just buzzwords until you get out there.
Yep.
Yeah, like you can watch all the videos, you can learn all of the jargon. Like one of the big accusations from the dying breed of compulsion balance trainer is that play is a fad. It doesn't help that there are trainers.
What's so interesting is like, where does that statement have to come from? Like, what psychological framework does that trainer have to have in order to make that statement? And that's really scary.
Right, and they need to be doing what you're talking about, where they need to not be doing what you're talking about, which is getting experience and actually learning it at a fundamental level and being able to experience it. And I think that there are trainers that kind of throw these words around, but aren't really diving into the depths of it. You know what I'm saying? And you do just have to have the times. It's like the closest to a religious or spiritual event that I can have is when a dysfunctional dog feels fulfillment for real for the first time.
I think
That's
it's what I was talking
mindful.
about with the energy shift. Like you just have to fucking feel it. I
You have
can't
to
tell
be there.
you. I can't tell you what the dog's body language is. I can't tell you what his tail is going to be doing, what his ears going to be doing. Like I just feel it.
And even video doesn't necessarily show it. You really get a sense. I've had people that they'll follow, whether they're just in town or whatever it is, they'll follow a dog up until a point, and then they'll meet him maybe in like the 6th week of the program. So we're wrapping up, and they're like, dude, he just feels light. It's different in person. You just get like how they move and all these things. And I think that there's probably, it's not magic. I think that there's probably something evolutionarily in our monkey brains that we learned how to detect the body language of predators, right? So like this thing is
and
twitchy.
Even more fundamentally, other members of our social group.
Yeah. The emotional expression and who's doing okay and who's not, and who's a threat and who's not. So yeah, there's just a feeling that you get around a dog.
There have been a couple interesting studies that seem magical, but there seems to be some mechanism that we don't understand yet that allows us to pick up on. Like, why do people literally say like, "Oh, that's the vibe"? Like, this is literally talking about vibration. You know, so it's like there's something going on there. I don't think we know exactly what it is, but I think again that's one of those things. Like right now, as you know, a society, like it's one of those things you can understand but not actually know yet.
Intuitively feel. Yeah. That was someone asked me about Cesar Millan yesterday. What's your take on Cesar Millan? I was like, I don't think he actually understands really much of what he's doing, but on a general level, he has an intuitive sense of how to interact with dogs. By the way, this is not an endorsement or a detracting. I'm just saying, generally speaking, he just kind of gets how to be with groups of dogs. That's not an academic thing. You know,
but it's the reason he can be effective. But then when other people try to implement his stuff, it's kind of catastrophic.
Disastrous. Yeah, disastrous. So yeah, that's a really good one. I was trying to think if there was any other who sent that in?
Erica?
Big up Erica.
Yep. And then again, like on an interesting, like just fundamental level, like it's a little bit difficult to place a value on emotional experiences, but once you feel the difference, it's like, oh, like how was I living like that? And I think that is way more important than people give it credit for. Like again, anytime I hear a trainer complain about client compliance, the two options are your filter for clients is just bullshit, which is like that's also like there are bad clients out there for sure. But the other alternative is that you're not teaching the clients in a way that actually resonates with them and fits into their life and their life instead of just busy work. And I mean, again, I know we've talked about this, but it's like that's a style of interaction with that client that's on you. And that's why you're having client compliance issues, is because you're asking them to do shit that's just unreasonable and doesn't make sense to them.
You're in control here. They're downstream of you. Now, I will say you added it onto the first option. There are people that will surprise you with how stupid they can be. Yes. So that does actually happen, and at that point, it's up to the trainer. We've talked about this. Do you have a hard conversation and you know, I'm drawing a hard line. If this happens again, we're done. Or do you just say we're done? Because if at some point you are continuing forward knowing that there's this recurring thing going on, you're a glutton for punishment.
That reminds me, I want to just circle back to why you're resilient to burnout. And I think it's because you have both of those pillars like very well established. that you will tell people to fuck off. Like
Yeah,
I've told you
you're
before,
not.
like you've told me certain stories and I'm like, I could never. And like I'm getting better at it. Like I actually told someone no the other day that I would have felt obligated to say yes to. I'm cutting out certain services that aren't really valuable, or they're just energy drains on me. Shout out to Katie Matthews, business
Big up.
coaching. If people want the school link, let me know. Anyway, uh but yeah, like that kind of stuff I don't think like I would be able to do without you kind of validating the fact that that's okay and like other outside. And I think a lot of dog trainers are stuck in that. Like we feel obligated to do a lot of stuff that is actually just a very fast track to burnout. And then also, I think with that obligation to do stuff, there's obligation to do stuff a certain way, right? Of like, okay, I need to train in this way because that's like, I need to do 2-week board and trains that are pretty like fucking, yank and crank or whatever, right? And not really allowing you room to express the actual craft of dog training, and that's also going to burn you out. And then like the extreme version of just training in this style, you either have to shut off your emotional brain and like be okay with clients not getting results, which I think is extremely difficult and extremely damaging, obviously, in a lot of ways to more than just yourself.
You just have to be a force-free advocate to be cool
Exactly,
with it.
exactly. You know where
Literally.
I was going with that. Yeah,
Yep.
you either have to shut your brain off or you're gonna quit. Like you can't. Like there's no way to like healthfully psychologically endure that.
Yeah.
And I think like
I
looking at you, like both of the you train in a style that honors the way that you want to train. Like you do not compromise on your values and your ethics in training, and you know which clients are going to sort of conflict with those goals,
yeah.
right? And those values. And you're like, yeah, we're just not a good fit. We're not working together. And as soon as they cross a boundary, you're like, we're done. And then I feel bad because I'm like, oh, it wasn't a stated boundary. So like I have to keep working with this person. It's like
Yeah.
actually you
Yeah.
don't, but that's a bit of a different conversation.
I talked about that pit bull I started the e-collar with yesterday, right? And the foster of the pit bull, she really had a really, really hard time shocking me when we were doing drills in the parking lot. A really, really hard time, to the point where I told her, if I did not like you and this dog, I would have driven away already. You're kind of being annoying. Like, this is, we can proactively get bad reps on me so you can see what's bad and we can make those adjustments on me. Like, let's fucking do this. And she had a really hard, for whatever reason, right? Had that dog been a high stakes scenario, I would have driven away. I'd have been gone. But he's not. So it's cool. Like I can really accommodate her being kind of weird with that. And I know she'll get over it and it'll be fine. But if it was a scenario where, hey, Dylan, this dog actually was about to be put down, but it's not his fault. There's not actually anything crazy. Like she told me, thank you for saving his life. I didn't. Like, there's just no reason this dog should be dying. But if it was a scenario where it's, hey, I'm trying to place this dog and he's doing X, and I felt like her emotions were getting in the way of us addressing that, I would never speak to her again. And I would forget that she existed. Just like blink, gone. You are a non-entity to me. It's a waste of my time.
Yeah, I get very stuck in doing a lot of emotional labor for people. Like what I would try to do with that client is like give her the speech of like, you need to stop putting your own emotions ahead of the dog's well-being and like spend time on
I don't
that.
have those talks. I don't have those talks.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't have those talks. I have talks where
Sometimes those talks are like very fulfilling and fun, but also could be extremely frustrating. So it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah. If it's going nowhere, then why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give an honest. I feel too, and this is not a. I asked a client recently that I can't talk about, but I was like, what was your first thought when I came and I made my pitch to you? Like what? Because these people have been through a lot and they didn't know me, and I just made my pitch. They said that they looked at each other and were like, this guy's ego and confidence are so out of control. We have to try. We have to. We have to try. He clearly is not lying. He is completely serious and truly 100% believes he's right. We're just going to go. I think that there's something to say for that too, that if you lead, you don't have to be as insane as me, but if you lead from a position of like, yeah, of course I'm right, people are less likely to have any of those external sort of like
It's just immediately provide clarity on exactly the parameters of the relationship. Yep.
Yo, dude, this is how it fucking goes. I know it's gonna work. And I'm not saying that they won't voice concerns at that point, but the concerns become less relevant. It's like, oh, I guess I can just kind of let that go and see. And then, of course, as a trainer, you have to prove yourself.
Yeah, you have to be able to put your money where your mouth is.
The most important part is the dog training. You have to train the dog and get a result to be a good dog trainer. Fucking losers. Holy shit. Oh, I'm just so good with the client. Okay. You know who are really good at dealing with the client? Carnies are really good at dealing with the client. Carnies are the greatest in the world, some may say, dealing with the client. And you know what happens to the fucking client? Yeah. So the what was I talking about?
It took an unexpected turn.
The
ego.
Well, the client, like the client with the objections and being able to cut ties and stuff like that. That does not mean that the client is expected to just wholesale believe everything that you say immediately. There just has to be a willingness to try. Because I just know it's going to work. So if you just are willing to try, then I can sleep at night. That's totally fine. But if someone is just actively contesting me at every point, it's like, dude, I'm just not going to. I don't think I ever told you guys. Maybe I have talked about this. There was a lesson client. This was before TW. It may have been during TWC early. But I had a client. I did an one in-home, did not go back, with this married couple who wanted to be able to groom their little doodle. And they just didn't have like any training, any interaction, no nothing. So I was like showing them some basic things on leash. And I was telling them repeatedly, we are going to get back to the grooming, but I want to show you some things first. And I made it very clear how this was relevant. And throughout the walk, the lady just kept asking, when are we going back into the house to brush? And I'm just never going to talk to you ever again. You're dead to me. Because you're just actively contesting. I clearly explained the plan. If you don't agree or don't want to try the plan, then why the fuck did you call me? You already know everything. Go do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
That lady was like a tyrant in that house, like the most cuckolded husband. He was like visibly afraid of her. And I remember when I left, he came out by himself and be like, hey, yeah, that was great. So you're coming back, right? Like you're coming back. Kind of like trying to apologize, but not in front of her. So, yep. Wow, that's scary. Did I have anything else? Were there any funny comments on? There was a comment on a previous episode. So the show's about you and not dogs. What's up with wearing Truly Aggressive Paul? What's up with this is Laura Collins 5298. What's up with wearing a big hoodie indoors in a dark area for visual discussion? Kind of weird.
Oh my gosh, this is like so random, but I just thought of it because the hoodie. Watching this show, relevant. Kim might actually have some pop culture references, but I don't know if anybody actually watches this. It's called Slow Horses. And
never heard of that.
Okay, there's this character that comes in like later in the show, and he's just like always got his hoodie and his earbuds, but he's actually like a badass. It's just, but he's a sleeper, But it was very funny. The comment just reminded me of it. Completely actually irrelevant, but I'm like, oh, I love this character now. New favorite.
You've got Gary Oldman in the show.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, he's one of the main characters.
I've not heard of this. Yeah, I'm not very cultured. Going to see Toy Story 5 with my children in a couple hours. It's gonna be the first time they've ever been to a theater. I'm sure that's gonna go great. What else? I can't. there was a bunch of really interesting comments on a post that I made recently that I can't address. But we're gonna have to end up doing like a full episode
Yeah.
whenever this happens. The video's fucking funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
What if I don't think I ever show you that clip? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think you only started me showing I think you only started showing me as her training was, but like you showed me the sort of like before, but with you, not with the actual client.
That's a little spoiler.
Yeah.
We'll leave that in. No, that clip was from when she was very young.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that the before stuff that I showed you was modern era.
Yeah. It was the one where she was on the table.
Yeah.
That's the one
I haven't
saw.
I've shown that to you and like maybe 5 other people. Maybe.
Yeah. Like,
that one
this will be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that and people sort of in disbelief that was a training strategy and thinking, oh, the client must be getting something wrong, or no, that can't be. They must be. No. I don't know. I had someone DM me too that I actually have a lot of respect for this person. I don't mean to sound surprised, but she said that's actually not a conventional strategy in this particular methodology, and I was like, no, it is. The one I've 100% seen you teach the cue, you charge it, and then trade. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
but
interesting.
He was saying that the way that they were going about it was dangerous, and I was like, yeah,
Clearly.
welcome to force training. That's force-free ideology. Like puts people at physical risk on a regular basis.
I'm curious what the like other conventional method would, because I literally, again, like I'm not an expert on force-free training, but
they
like
don't use safety gear. They don't use safety gear. Like they explicitly will not use safety gear because they think it makes them look like they're training protection, and protection bros are abusive. Like that's actually their thing. Even though you would do better force-free training with safety gear on.
Yeah.
They just won't do it.
You'd at least use extinction. That doesn't require an aversive.
You know, I'm an extinction cuck. I'm an extinction boy. Gonna be showing a lot of that too. A lot of interesting stuff with that. Speaking of which, Paul is coming back from the great north. It's gonna be, how many days do I have until
15 days.
And I've got a little time off too. So it's 2 weeks tomorrow. He's gonna be pulling up. I'm gonna hopefully by then I'll have my backyard fence installed, and it's just gonna be me and him back there in the steel cage. Only one of us walks out alive. That's gonna be That's gonna be cool. My friend Sandy wants to meet him so bad, and I'm like, yo, this might be one that actually makes you regret it. I'm not even kidding. That may be the first one where I actually hold a line when I'm with a helper, because usually I just let it go. People get on me.
Actually, this is a bit of a different topic, because I was gonna say I could almost see him going for the face just because it is quite instrumental.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about this in a long time, but like, what would you do if you had a dog that went for the face? Would you just go straight punish? Yeah, or anybody's. Like if that was a thing, like you know how most dogs will like go for the hands.
Thing?
Yeah.
If that was like his behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, he's getting baptized for that day one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Baptized.
Yeah.
I'm doing my special.
It's like, would you put on a hockey helmet? I don't know. That would just fucking punish it, but yeah.
That's something Ivan has shown me. I've seen him work with dogs with a mask on.
Interesting. Okay. Yep.
But not. Yeah. That's not like a thing you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Well, if it's an option for me to be like, dude, just stop, dude, I'll do that. Yeah. But you could easily, this dog, you could easily just from opportunistic moments, not necessarily like a spot target. It's just, oh, that's the closest thing I feel like hitting you right now. But I was thinking about him again, and it was just the thought crossed my mind that I'm basically just doing an obedience program, which is kind of interesting. Which maybe sort of stale for people. I don't think so. Just because I think it's, again, the breed, and people are going to be like, that's so cool or bad or whatever. But it is just going to be obedience training.
Again, it's not that deep.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. I'm not going to be introducing him to a bunch of people because that's pointless. It's not relevant. He's going to be living on the first floor of my house. He's never coming upstairs around anybody. It'll be cool
so
to
you
see
have
how
like
he
a
does.
basement basically where you keep like that's where your born trains are, and then like family is
Basement-
upstairs.
Basement's not.
But it's like a finished basement.
No, it's not a basement because the area here floods. Like nobody has basements here
Okay.
because we're on the lake.
Gotcha.
But it is just another floor of the house.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
could you could live down there. Bedrooms, bathrooms, full living room, like everything. So I basically have, if I need, like in this case, I do need an
Just an
entire apartment level where I can just live with a dog.
Yeah.
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 And it's totally indistinguishable. Like you could rent it, like literally.
Do
So
your
we're going to be
kids, like
spending.
this is like not a super relevant question, but I am always kind of curious with trainers that do have kids because it's like so far. Do your kids just like know not to go down there?
Yeah.
Because like that definitely seems like one where I could see just being a little bit nervous about like a kid accidentally walking down, opening a crate, or just something like that. But
My kids. So my older son is about to be 5. My younger is 3. They have the most unbelievable dog discipline. And they understand, by the way. It's not just like avoidance. It's they know what to avoid and why. Is that dog mean? Yes. Okay. And they don't fuck with them. They're just they'll ask me from time to time how the dog is doing. But they're
That's
not
cute.
trying to break the system down to get to him.
Yeah.
Like I had a dog here recently, one may say, that they referred to as mean dog.
That's
But
accurate.
and they ask, does she feel better yet? They treat it like it's being sick, like
Yeah.
the dog being sick. Get your,
That's cute.
which is base.
Yep. They're not wrong. Yep.
But there are some dogs with people ask me this, guys. There are plenty of dogs. There's zero interaction with my children. Zero. That dog Ollie never met my kids. I had him out on leash, like on a walk with them a couple times, but never interacting or even anything remotely close, and never with the ability to get to them if he wanted to. Never.
Yeah.
Paul will never be anywhere near my children, or anyone's children. That's just not fucking smart. It's really stupid. If I ever saw him, his owners ever showed me, like I saw a clip of him playing with kids, I would call them and be like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? What the fuck are you doing? We need to talk. Like, turn the grill off. Go away from people and put me on speaker. I'm talking to both of you. This now determines whether or not we ever talk ever again. What the fuck are you doing? Like, there's just no way. So, speaking of which,
Oh,
looks
not
pretty
bad.
good, right?
Yeah, not bad. I don't know if I've ever shown or if this will show up on camera. I have like a scar that's just like so annoyed. I got like a scar over a scar. There's just like an
Yeah.
X. Yeah.
That's kind of. It looks like a pirate map.
Yeah. Or what is it? Oh my gosh, we were joking about it. Oh, your straight edge. It's like the straight edge.
Oh
Yeah. Anyway.
yeah. I had
Like it looks
went
like
to-
I intentionally did that.
yeah, I went to school with kids that branded themselves.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Really
insane?
bad. Yep.
They thought they were in like a little gang or something.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Key. And they heated it and then stuck it like a
Yeah.
Uh,
A little. So my husband does like metal artwork, and he was like, "This is like mostly a joke," but he was like, "Oh, it'd be super fun to make a brand," and I'm like, "Let's not do
that doesn't sound fun
that."
actually.
Veto.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have
I'll see you at the workshop.
Yep.
See you at the workshop.
Yeah.
It's cool. It is cool. You do need to make it back to see.
I know.
It's the workshops that happen there, especially with the guests and stuff, are so varied. There's always some crazy shit going on there. Again, they live in a different. It's just like not
Different
normal.
universe.
It's like the place I was just at. Again, I can't talk about right now, but like I was in a different. I was around different human beings, like a different class of human beings. It's kind of like that being back at TWC. It's a very distinct atmosphere and kind of what the fuck crazy shit. Oh, we've got this guy from the Netherlands that trains bomb detection dogs, and he's doing. It's just like okay, fine, and you just go. So it's fun. It's fun to find reasons to go back. And anybody that's not in the school that is interested in one of them, the open ones, because this one is open. Only a few of them are ever just school. Most of them are open admission. You just are a trainer and you want to see some cool stuff. Because I like seeing Ivan instruct people that don't have our common language and are not coming from the same place.
True. Yep.
I told them, I was like, dude, I'll be honest with you. Half the reason I'm going is so I can see you break things down for people
100%.
that are not in the school.
That's mostly now, again, this is gonna sound kind of egotistical, but like you definitely get to a certain stage of your career where you're like, I don't necessarily want to go for the dog info. And like, obviously it's still relevant. Like there's tidbits that you always take, but I want to go for how the person explains that dog info, because there's so like, that's a whole nother fucking skill set, is learning how to coach people. And like, you have to develop that kind of separate. Super valuable to just watch good trainers teach people and how they convey that.
I think I mentioned this to you. I may have mentioned it on the show too, but I watched the Mondio Ring trainer Paul Edward at a workshop in Vermont. It's actually been a long time, but Mondio Ring, I don't, whatever. But I told him after, I was like, yo, watching you interact with these trainers, because he had to navigate a particularly sensitive. There was a dog that was clearly afraid of the trainer, and it was making me mad. And it was one of those things where I feel like I would have just been, get the fuck out of my face. But the way he handled it actually had a chance of getting through to the person while still making them feel like they were doing Mondio Ring. And I was like, what the fuck did you just do?
Just to like circle that back about the burnout stuff. I think like that's one of those things where, like I was saying, like I'll have the discussion with somebody about like, hey, let's think about your own psychology and see how we can tweak this, where you're just like, fuck it. I mean, like you have to know like which side you're on, and both of those are like valid strategies. And I think for some people, like sometimes I do find it fun to like have that type of puzzle of like, this person is clearly pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And like, let's try to fix it. But also having like a detachment from the outcome and all of that good stuff. But you also have to know if that's like just going to make you mad and you're like, you need to leave because I can't fucking see this, you know?
The funniest shit is always when, for me, it's when you have the client and they're like, hey, for the next lesson, I'm going to have my dad come, and because he, whatever. And dad is a guy that just knows everything. And I know that if I'm going to get buy-in from this guy who's going to be babysitting the dog every other week, I have to make him think all of this is his idea.
Yep.
And I have to do that, and he has to walk away thinking he is just
God,
the foremost authority on dog training. And that is going, again, ultimately, the ego part of it, I don't care. Hello, child.
Picking up children.
Hello, boys. Oh, they're up from nights. You guys ready for Toy Story? We'll have to talk about this next time. I don't want you on camera, guys. Hi. You want to say hi? All right, fuck it. Say hi. Hi. Warren, you want to say, are you wearing pants? He's got underwear on. Say hi.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're going to go see what Woody and Buzz are up to.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a fat popcorn, dude. Fat popcorn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Papa.
All right, we'll talk later.
Sounds good.
See you guys in the comments.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.